It started with a sound, a single quarter hitting the floor, rolling slowly and until it stopped. No one picked it up. That was the day the arcades began to die, not with an explosion, not with fire, but with silence. There was a time when every street had one, flickering lights, walls humming with electricity, and kids gathered like moths around glowing machines. The air was thick with static and dreams. If you were there, you remember. The smell of pizza grease, the soft carpet, the pulse of an 8-bit world that felt more alive than real life. Back then, the arcade wasn't just entertainment, it was a ritual. You'd push open that heavy glass door and the world outside would vanish behind the neon haze. Time didn't move the same way inside. It was louder, brighter, faster, and somehow safer. The glow of screens painted faces in blue and red. Dozens of kids lined up for their turn, eyes locked on one goal: beat the high score. It wasn't about money or fame, and it was about legacy. Getting your name, 3 letters carved into electronic history. A digital monument that said, "I was here." The first wave of heroes was born in these rooms. They weren't athletes or movie stars, they were gamers. Billy Mitchell, Steve Wiebe, the joystick warriors. Their reflexes were legendary. Their focus unbreakable. People gathered just to watch them play. And when the crowd cheered, it wasn't for pixels, it was for greatness. You could hear the heartbeat of a generation in every sound. The rhythmic pop of buttons. The mechanical thunk of a quarter sliding in. The triumphant scream when someone finally cleared the hardest level. The arcade was alive, it breathed through us. Parents didn't understand. They said it was a waste of time, that nothing good came from staring at a screen. But we knew better. Those screens taught us how to lose, how to compete, how to push through frustration until we reached victory. It wasn't just a game. It was life in 60 frames per second. Then came the golden years. 1981 to 1986, the true reign of the arcade. Pac-Man fever swept the world. Space Invaders became a cultural earthquake. Donkey Kong turned into mythology. Every new cabinet felt like a glimpse into the future. You'd walk in and see the crowd gathered around the newest release. Bright marquees buzzing with excitement. And when you heard that digital theme music for the first time, you felt something real, something human. But even as the lights burned bright, a shadow was forming. Few noticed, fewer cared. Because who would have believed that this kingdom of neon and sound could ever fall? How could something so powerful, so full of life, simply fade away? Yet it would, and sooner than anyone imagined. The first cracks were invisible. Fewer coins on the counter. Fewer friends waiting outside the door. A new kind of machine quietly arrived in the living room. Smaller, cheaper, and hungrier. No neon, no noise. Just a gray box with buttons, a console. And that, without anyone realizing, was the beginning of the end. But for now, in that brief, blinding golden age, the arcade was everything. The hum of electricity, the flashing colors, the laughter of strangers, and the thrill of competition. It felt eternal. And for those of us who were there, we can still close our eyes and hear it. That familiar chorus of beeps and buzzes, the laughter, the cheers, the digital heartbeat, the sound of a world that no longer exists, a world that lived one coin at a time. The first sign of trouble was silence. It started small. 1 or 2 machines turned off, an empty corner, fewer kids on a Saturday night. No one noticed at first, but the magic was fading. In the late 80s, the home console arrived. Small, quiet, and deadly. Nintendo, Sega, Atari, they promised the same thrill, but in your living room. No crowds, no coins, no noise. Just a controller, a couch, and endless hours of play. Parents loved it. It was cheaper, cleaner, safer. Why drop quarters when your kid could play for free at home? And just like that, the arcade's biggest fans became its greatest threat. By 1992, the lights were dimming. Machines grew dusty. Posters on the walls curled and yellowed. The carpet smelled of old soda and loss. And outside, technology kept evolving, faster than any joystick could keep up with. Developers followed the money. Games became private experiences, designed for one player, one screen. The sense of community that defined the arcade started to disappear. No more high-score battles, no more crowds around the Street Fighter machine. Just isolation behind closed doors. Owners tried to adapt. They added ticket machines, prizes, family-friendly decor. But the soul was gone. The gritty, rebellious energy, replaced by polished plastic and corporate smiles. Arcades stopped being sanctuaries and became theme parks. Some tried to fight back. They held tournaments, upgraded graphics, installed new games like Mortal Kombat and Daytona USA. And for a while it worked. But it wasn't enough. Technology moved faster. The internet arrived, and with it came the final blow. Now you could compete with anyone in the world without leaving your house. The sound of clinking quarters was replaced by digital clicks. The neon buzz became the hum of routers and fans. Connection became virtual, and with it something human was lost. By the late 90s, one by one, arcades fell. Machines were sold for scrap. Signs came down. The places where a generation had laughed, cried, and lived were bulldozed or forgotten. And for those who grew up inside them, it felt like losing a home, a friend, a part of their soul. But what they didn't know, what no one knew, was that even as the lights went out, the heartbeat of the arcade was still there. Waiting, fading, but not gone, ready for someone to remember. Decades passed, the malls changed. The neon faded, but somewhere in the dust of memory, the hum of an arcade machine still echoed. Faint, but alive. What once filled rooms with color and noise now lives in basements, attics, and forgotten warehouses. Old cabinets sit in silence, their screens cracked, their buttons stiff with time. Yet when someone dares to plug one back in, the past flickers to life. That blue glow returns, and for a second it's 1982 again. The sound is the same. The startup tone, the coin drop, the rhythmic pulse that once ruled the nights of millions. It's not just a game booting up, it's a ghost breathing again. Collectors began to emerge, not investors, not businessmen, but pilgrims. They searched for forgotten cabinets, broken boards, scattered tokens. They cleaned, repaired, and restored them, not for profit, but for memory. Each machine revived was a small act of resurrection, a defiance against time. The nostalgia didn't stay hidden. Retro bars appeared. People started bringing their kids to show them what fun looked like before the internet. Music from 8-bit soundtracks played again on vinyl. Old arcade flyers became art on cafe walls. What had once been seen as obsolete was now sacred. And then came the documentaries, the YouTube channels, the stories, people sharing their first joystick, their favorite high score, their first kiss in the dim light of a Galaga screen. For those who lived it, the memories are sharper than film. For those who didn't, it's a mystery. A lost world that feels more real than the present. The truth is, arcades never truly died, they changed form. They moved from neon halls into hearts, into hard drives, into nostalgia itself. The same energy that once filled rooms now travels through digital memory, across generations. Every emulator, every pixel, every remade soundtrack. They're fragments of something greater. Echoes of the time when gaming was human, raw, communal. Some say the magic can't be recreated. Maybe they're right. You can copy the sounds, the colors, the shapes, but not the feeling of standing shoulder to shoulder with strangers, chasing the same score, breathing the same air. That kind of connection doesn't fit into a download, but there's something comforting about that too, because maybe the reason the arcades disappeared was so they could become memories worth missing. We live in a world faster, louder, and lonelier, but sometimes late at night when a certain chime or synth melody plays, a whole generation remembers. And for just a moment, we're all back there again. Hands on the buttons, hearts racing, a single word glowing on the screen. Ready. That's the legacy. Not just machines or high scores, but the reminder that wonder doesn't fade. It evolves. So when you see that flicker of blue light, when you hear that faint insert coin echo in your head, don't just smile. Listen closely, it's calling you back. To a time when the world was smaller, the nights were longer, and every game still had a soul. Because the arcades didn't die, they're still here, in stories, in memory, in us. And every time you press start, they live again. If this story made you remember a time long gone, a sound, a smell, a moment that will never come back, then you know some memories are too special to be forgotten. Keep them alive. Subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and share this with someone who was there. Someone who still remembers the glow of the old days. Here on TV Lost Broadcast, we don't just talk about the past. We bring it back to life.